I took another look at some of the most beloved D&D players and found some player habits that they all have that makes them not only incredibly fun to play with, but great at character development and storytelling. And these habits will help players, or a DM who wants to bring these qualities out of them, figure out how to tell the most interesting and memorable stories with everyone at their table. Okay, let's start with Brian Murphy from the actual play series Dimension 20, who we're going to call our progressor. This habit makes players like Murph a DM favourite, because not only does it mean the players are kept on track, but it gives the pacing of games great momentum. You see, sometimes in D&D, it can be hard for players to know when they're spending too much time in one place. Maybe your group's gone shopping and it's taking an unnecessary amount of time, or maybe a little planning sequence is taking the whole session. Maybe the whole group is just getting carried away role-playing with each other, but really, you've got everything out of the scene you can, and it's probably time to move on. Now obviously, if every player at the table is having fun, then there's no issue with scenes taking longer than you'd expect. But sometimes scenes can start to drag out and start to feel a little stale. Ryan Murphy and players like Murph step in when scenes should have reached their natural conclusion. Then they spur things forwards. They progress the game. And obviously DMs love this, because they themselves shouldn't really be stepping in and saying like, hey, as DM, I'm letting you guys know we should move on. But players can do that no problem. Not in like a bossy way, but in like a role-playing way. Murph is able to roleplay his character and say, hey gang, we should probably move on and go and do that really important thing that we're supposed to be doing. Because realistically, that's what his player would do. Here's a clip that I stole from Reddit user BatWayne12, showing Murph doing this as both a DM, then as a player. And no, it's much harder to do this as a DM, because it means you always need like a responsible NPC with the group at all times.
He picks up Papa and puts it back into Moonshine's overalls. We gotta go, gang.
Alright,
okay,
yeah.
Alright,
What did you just do?
we gotta go, guys. Chris just starts like cleaning up.
And this is something Murph does a lot. As a progressor, he not only moves the plot forward, but he reminds the other players at the table of their goal and the stakes involved. He keeps everyone on track, because it's incredibly easy for players to get distracted, sidetracked, and caught up in little things. You just have to be careful to do it without taking away agency from the other players. But that's usually not a problem, since you're not really ending a scene when you do this. You're more just suggesting you end the scene at the next convenient point. Alright, we gotta go, guys. So let's talk about Marisha Ray from Critical Role, who is our immerser. Marisha is phenomenal at really putting herself in the boots of her character. She doesn't just embody her character in the way she thinks and talks, but in the way she looks too, her mannerisms. And the best example of this is the way she sits and interacts with others as her character Lordna in their current campaign.
You seemed like you had a rough day today.
Everyone has a rough day. It happens. What? Why? What are you getting at?
Just start scanning the area.
Perception check. What
For
I'm gonna go over and try to cast Cure Wounds on him.
Okay. Go ahead and place your hands, and as you touch the body, the first thing that catches you, even though you're still going through the motions and reciting the
And there's a lot of benefits to doing this too. The first is that roleplay moments come faster and easier, because I mean you're already roleplaying your character and embodying them at the table. Another is that the decisions that your character would make, not you as a player, your character, would also come quicker. But the biggest one for me is that it immerses not only yourself, but every other player around the table. By looking, talking, and moving like your character, not only are you going to be able to visualize the game world more easily, but your fellow players will be able to too. It's very powerful to be able to look across the table at your friend and immediately be able to see how their character is posed in the game world, because you then subconsciously imagine the world around that character, the environments, the NPCs, the other party members, and your own character too, which really takes the whole game to another level. And the trick to embodying characters really well like this is to have a strong idea of who they are in your mind's eye. Not just the way they look, but the way they move and talk. And that's intrinsically linked to your character's personality, their motivations, and their flaws. You pretty much just have to really flesh out your character and get in their heads. And there's a few good ways to do this, but for me, writing out a short story with your character as the main character is a great way to do this. You'll be able to get an idea of how your character thinks and narrates and interacts with others and the world around them. But if you're not much of a writer or just want a quick fix, just think about your character in everyday life. Like things you are doing in your life, obstacles you come across. You just kind of want to get a better idea of how they would act in the mundane. Okay gang, we gotta go. Okay, subscribe and also consider becoming a Patreon member, link in the description, because we're talking about Travis Willingham. Like Marisha, Travis is another critical role player and he also specialises in immersion. But unlike Marisha, who immerses herself in character, Travis immerses himself in the plot and the world. Travis loves the game he's in. He loves the characters, the world, and the story. He is invested, making him our investor. Players like this get so invested in the game that they hang off every word the DM says. They celebrate so hard when characters reach their goals, and they love the collaborative process that happens in between. Investors are so much fun to play with because they're a super fan and a hype man, and they push the players and the DM to try harder, to tell exciting stories, because they want the reactions from players like these. Think of it like a baseball game. I know very little about baseball, by the way, but I'm pretty sure a team playing with 0 fans in the bleachers, and still gonna try and win the game, but a team with a stadium full of fans all cheering them on are going to have new motivation to try even harder. That's what playing with an investor like Travis is like. Having someone with that much passion for the storytelling aspects of the game at your table will make everyone try harder to tell amazing stories and create amazing moments. And Siobhan Thompson from Dimension 20 is our sculptor. There's a really great video about Siobhan created by Castlecaster, which I'll link below and I strongly suggest you check out. He goes into this in way more detail, and what I'm doing here is kind of just stealing it and paraphrasing it, probably badly. But what makes Siobhan so fun to play with is the way she creates characters that fit in with the game world. So many characters, when they get invited to a new campaign of D&D, excitedly think about and create a character before they even know anything about the game. They don't ask about potential story, the tone, the setting, or even what other players want to do. They just think about what they want to play and roll with it, which can often just create issues where things don't gel. But Siobhan goes the opposite way and goes the extra mile to create a character that fits in with everything. She creates believable character. Hence why she's the sculptor. Because of this, the world feels much more believable for both players and the DM. Because within the party itself, there's a character that feels really genuine. Siobhan still plays characters that are really interesting, fun to play and fun to play with, but they're always grounded within the world itself. Now, every player and every table is different, so these habits might not work for you. If not, throw them out the window. But if you sculpt your characters to fit in with the game world and the story, like Siobhan Thompson, then immerse yourself in your character, like Marisha Ray. Then get invested in and progress the story forward, like Travis Willingham and Brian Murphy, then you'll find the pacings of games getting better and better, and the world becoming more vivid and alive, and the story getting more exciting and impactful. And the beauty of this is that if you start doing any of these habits at your table, you'll see everyone else around it following suit. Obviously, there's many other traits and habits that great players have, and I will make more videos like these in the future, but let me know in the comments or my Discord things players at your table do that you love. And if you want to see even more habits of some of the best D&D players in the world, watch this video next.